evening. Sorry, I must salute. It's the Fockham national anthem. It's very moving, that, isn't it? Hang on, false tears. Here we go. Yes, it's Essex. It's actually the Portsmouth Symphonia trying to murder the 2001 theme, but anyway,
hit your ears.
Welcome to another exciting show. Now, you notice there should be three of us, and those of you that are observers amongst us notice only two of us. No, Deb is absolutely exhausted tonight. She couldn't make it, so she'll be on next week though. She'll be on next show, and that will be about numerology with Shannon, and that's there's a few ifs with that one because where Shannon is in California, she requires a satellite dish to get Wi-Fi, because she's got this problem there, and it's been very cloudy, so she hasn't been able to charge up the batteries so she can get internet connection. Well, we hope it's been sunny in California, so if anybody out there who's in California, if it's been nice and sunny, we'll be able to get a nice show next week. Now, I've been very rude. I haven't welcomed Michelle. There's Michelle tonight.
Hello.
Evening, Michelle.
Evening.
Michelle. Now, you're probably wondering about the weird title, A Little Dickie Down Below. We'll leave them guessing for a little while, shall we? So, we've got to do some call outs and things like that. Well, we've got some really good news this week because, people have been suffering from John Hamerism. Well, thanks to someone in chat, I can't remember who it was, but somebody suggested, why doesn't he use his phone? So whoever it was, please own up. And I'd like to thank you, because looking at it logically, you think, well, if a computer wouldn't work, surely how can a phone work? Well, it does. And it's happened with Miles. Miles's phone works, but his computer doesn't on here. And it's the same with John. And a couple of days ago, we did a test run, and it was absolutely perfect, smooth as a whistle. Brilliant. So, so John will be back in February, because next week we've got the numerology show. The week after that, we're hoping to get a mystery guest on, talking about Bigfoot. I think you probably guessed it already. The week after that, John Hamer is due to be back on. And in April, we've got a very good guest. Well, they're all good guests, but we're going to have a guest that I spoke to years ago when I used to do an internet radio show called Roger. And I'm sure you people that he's been around a long time, and sorry, he's not that old. And he talks about debt-free currency. So that should be, and I think you might like my FOC bobs, they FOC them all currency. So that's okay. And also, I'd like to say thank you to Sue, who's bought 3 coffees for us. Bless you. That's very, very kind. It's really much appreciated. And if you want, thanks, Sue. Thanks. Thank you very much. And also, something else that's new tonight. Sorry, we got on with the show in a minute. I've got to find it because I've got to do all them. I've got to work tonight because Deb's not here. Oh, bloody
no. I can't get it on my screen, can I?
No, I can make you administrator. You can do that. We'll talk about it afterwards. If you like. Now, what we got here is now you can go on to Telegram. Now, with Facebook, I've learned something last week rather, which absolutely, I actually lost my call with it because, cutting a long story sideways, I thought some people were trolling me when they weren't. And a client sort of showed me something that I thought people were trolling. And when I found out afterwards, I blew the top, because of bloody Nora. And it turns out that with Facebook, the comment was made, there's just a couple of comments that were made in November. And the way it was explained to me is that if you make a comment, say you don't like Brussels sprouts, I do, but okay, and you've got a friend and you've got Facebook friends, they also have Facebook friends, or Facebook as I call it, friends. They also have friends, and they also have friends. So within a certain amount of time, half the bloody world can find out that you don't like Brussels sprouts. And also, I didn't think the comments could be carried with them. Well, apparently they can sometimes.
Yeah.
So it is really quite disturbing. And if someone is on the same wavelength, because it's quite on you, I know, brother, who's watching tonight, evening Ian. Hello, sir. Thank you so much. I look forward to your paycheck, sir. And grovel. No, but no, good sense of humour. He explained it to me because he's a computer whiz kid, and I still don't quite get it the way it works. But he said, be very careful as Facebook. He said, because you'll be amazed how it sort of spreads out. It's like a Pandora's box. It doesn't stop. Someone could have made a comment, say last year, this is what happened with me. Well, not me, I didn't make the comment. Someone had some nasty comments about me in November, and it's gone around the sort of circuit somehow. And
I mean, sorry.
Yeah, carry on.
Sorry. I think there's a delay here in Australia to the UK. I'm only joking. No, I remember I liked a video and I shared it. And then I looked at the source of where it came from. And I looked back and it had only been set up 2 days previous to me sharing the video. And I looked and when I'd started following the group, or, the channel that was, it came up all the names that had joined, like, welcome to our new members. And it was doing in the blue highlight in your name, how you come across on Facebook. And I just immediately, I thought, oh, it's like, it's pointing at, it's waving a red flag, isn't it? Oh, look, here's so-and-so, and here's so-and-so, and here's so-and-so, who, by the way, don't agree with the narrative, so it's waving a flag. And I thought, oh, quick unfollow, because it seemed a bit dodgy, like 2 days ago, and suddenly printing your name publicly. And I thought, that's a bit weird.
But I thought, you see, the thing is, it's not it's a million to one chance if you're, I don't know, supposing you're into greyhound racing and you want to get onto groups about greyhound racing, you're not going to find out about groups that are interested in UFOs.
Yeah.
But this client I know is sort of interested in similar things to myself. So even his missus, they look at similar things to me. Yeah. And that's, I think, how it's got round, but and I'm sorry about your picture, because when I stormed out of the office, I slammed the door and the picture fell on the floor because I was so bloody angry. But of course, I thought, you can get the wrong end of the stick. I thought I was being trolled. I wasn't. It's just this bloody thing had been since November going around the circuit, and it's nobody's fault. I'm not blaming anybody. And this is the thing. This is what I don't like about Facebook, and this is why I'm putting lots of stuff now on Telegram. And this is my Telegram channel here. And if you'd like to subscribe, it's free of charge. And Michelle's subscribed, and I'm putting lots of interesting stuff on there. And and what I like about Telegram, it doesn't go sort of around the circuit like it does on Facebook. I'm still going to use Facebook for advertising, because that is really when I say advertising the show. And I'm still going, and I'm only going to post things within the group, Fockham Hall group. But again, that goes around the circuit as well. But yes, I'll keep that group going. But sometimes I make a mistake and it goes onto the main sort of thing, But that's what I'm going to do. And I'm hoping to go over to Gab soon. I'm going to gradually go over to Gab, because Gab is far better than Facebook, So
so many now, isn't there?
That's right. Anyway, I was better switch off because I'm probably boring people with that. And as I say, thank you for the buy me the coffee thing. And I'll put I've got my rolling thing at the bottom here. Where is it? Oh, blimey. Come back, Deb.
No,
oh, hang on. We put a thank you for it. That's it. Hang on. We put this. Buy us a coffee. That's great. And I was going to say something about next week's show, about numerology, something I found out today, which has really got me going. Should we mention that later, Michelle?
Yeah, if you want to, yeah.
And the top tip tonight is with Carrier. So we'll do the top tip a little bit later, and I won't say, but not what you think. Use that you would never probably dream of in a million years, or maybe 2 million years. So The top tip is carry bag. Should we go into the chat and then we'll start about a little Dickie down below?
I think we should.
Yeah, so have a quick shufty in the chat. Here we go. Blimey, what have we got here? My word, we got everyone. He's right.
I can't see it on mine. I'll look on the phone.
We got Bob Olio. Hello, Bob. Hello. You were on the other day, weren't you? Before we started, you're always the first one on. Great. Hey. Right. Now, what we got here? We got here exploration and something written in. Is that? I don't know what language that is. What do you think it is?
I think that's part of the name. Yeah.
Is it?
Yeah.
Is John coming on when? Well, yes. We did an experiment. His phone works. Thank you a million, whoever suggested that. I can't remember who suggested that. It works. And it was as smooth as, well, as I'm talking to Michelle now. And I wouldn't have thought it was going to work. And, of course, tonight we've got the jam jar experiment, haven't we?
Yeah.
And I'll answer the question there. Where is John? Yeah, he's coming on in February. He's very, very busy at the moment. And it'll be about mid-February he'll be on, because we've got Shannon next week. We've got somebody else the week after, and then he'll be the week after that. So it's about 3 weeks' time he'll be on. So that's pretty good. Says, I'm here for John. Oh, an avid reader of your books. Have been reading your falsifications. I have so many questions to ask you about them. How do I contact him? Well, I'll be putting that up. He's got his, just one moment. You got to excuse me tonight because Deb's not here. So I've got to do the whole lot.
And I don't know what you do, so I can't even help.
There we go. This is his email address. So that's how you contact him. And I'll leave that on there whilst I read out the rest of the comments. Here we are. And as I say, he'll be on in 1, 2, 3 weeks' time. He couldn't make the first week in February, but he'll be on the second week of February. So there we go. And we've got Mike. Good evening. We've got Ancient Ruby. And we've got Ralph, Hachi, and it's Hindi. This is Hindi. Thank you very much. That's excellent. So thank you, everybody, for being in chat. That's brilliant. And I think we better carry on with the show now. By the way, exploration, what does that mean, exploration in Hindi? I'm just interested. And I think you read it from right to left, don't you? Am I right there? I don't know. It says, how do seasons work in a flat earth? I do not believe in globe earth. I don't know. You're asking the wrong person there. Do you know, Michelle?
Seasons. Well, how I'm led to believe it. It's just, the old mechanical workings of a clock. Do you remember the old watches that we had? Do you remember before we went digital with watches as well? Mm-hmm. So the proper mechanical works, it's all, I don't know how it's designed, but it's all to do with magnetism and things like that, how the sun goes around and the moon goes around and all the planets go around. And at certain times of the year, the sun is nearer to the centre of the earth than, I think, the summer. Is it closer? That's why it's warmer.
Yeah, hang on, you're talking about around Earth.
And that, yeah.
Yeah, well, it's
and as
Earth a bit different, I think.
And as the winter comes, it goes around, and then it goes out more outwards. So it's cooler, and I don't know how it really works.
I know sort of what they mean by the round Earth, because the Earth is on an axis and it swivels and there's a wobble in the Earth.
It depends on what you believe.
Apparently, if you believe this, around the sun, this is what I was told when I was a boy, like this. And I think the southern hemisphere is furthest away from the sun when it's summer than the northern hemisphere, because it's on an angle like this, and as it goes round on this elliptical atom. That's what we was told anyway. But but thanks to John, I think most of us think that is the shit of the bull. Anyway, we're going off the point now. Thanks, exploration. I can't answer these. John can. And he'll be on. Hang on, let's have a look. Next week.
The font of knowledge, John Hamer.
he certainly is. And 6th of February, that will be. He couldn't make the 6th of February, so John will be on the. I think it's 13th, Monday the 13th. So he'll be on Monday the 13th. Okay.
I think we've started something here in the chat.
Oh my God, we certainly have. We're going into John. Can you reserve it for John, please?
It's so interesting, though, isn't it? It's yeah.
Yes, it really does. And this is globe Earth does not make any sense, sir. That's very polite. John is right. Water cannot behave like that. Does not make any sense. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes,
when you run
right.
a bath, it's just level, isn't it?
Yes, that's right. And NASA. If you go on to Facebook Fockham Hall group, I've been working out some different names for NASA. Where do comets and asteroids come from? I don't know, but you can get cream for it. Since space chose a fake right. Well, NASA, I wouldn't believe any bleeding thing. Was it National Association of Space Actors, isn't it? Apparently, Buzz Aldrin, he's 93 and he's got married for the 4th time.
That's right, yeah. Somebody quite a few years younger.
Yeah, see, this is an English term. I wonder if he had a stiff drink. I was going to say stiff one before meeting. No, we won't go into that, will we? Yeah. Because I like a stiff drink I'm talking about. Yes. Got very rude people. We've got an audience.
Apparently his jacket's been auctioned off at so many $1 million, This jacket, I think he wore it for various occasions. So, yeah.
Was it still he wore on the moon?
The circles they connect with, just... It doesn't matter about all the people lying in the streets, we'll just sell a jacket for over $1 million or something,
And I've got a question for him. How comes the spacesuit was exactly the same dimensions as the exit hatch on the lunar module? How did they use a sort of did one boot the other one out or something? How do they get out without if it's the same size? Anyway, we're going to talk, I believe, about a little Dickie down below. And no, it's not a medical program. So what is this about, Michelle? I'm intrigued. And we got some captions tonight to put up. So here we go.
Right. Wow. Chris and I were talking about things, weren't we? And we were talking about certain people who have certain groups and lodges and things like that. And, what we've been told all of our lives, obviously, as we are progressing in our maturity and our wisdom and development and spirituality or religion or whatever you have in your path, there are a lot of lies that have been told. And, one of the things we were looking into is the Antarctica and how Richard E. Baird discovered many things about the Antarctica. And then when we start discovering about things, we find out things aren't really as they are. And it seems that a lot of things that we've got taught and then discover, it's quite, it just taints everything, doesn't it, really, Chris?
Yeah.
It taints everything. It's like, not that this is a big deal, but it's just interesting to see that he was an Antarctic explorer and that was it. Well, it's not really it, because, again, the little corrosive thread of the handshake brigade get their little mitts on things that they can make money off, and off they go, take over, and it's all, these are lands that belong to us as well.
Well, that's right. Shall we show a picture of Admiral Byrd?
Go for it.
Those of you that are of a sensitive disposition, and if there's any children in the room, there's a picture of, it's rather rude, isn't it?
Is it after the watershed time, is it?
That's right. I think so, yes. And his dog loved him, didn't he? Here it is. That's Admiral Byrd with his dog madly in love with his leg. Here we go. So isn't that a lovely, pretty poster?
Stuff to watch what's going on there, don't you?
That's
Closely.
right.
Yeah. Seems
Yes.
to. He's fond of him. Yeah.
Very fond, isn't he? Yes.
Apparently, he chose his dogs.
Yeah, did he?
He had a good, strong connection. What that is, we don't know. But there we go.
Oh, that was a strong bond he had there, didn't he?
Yeah. I'm a bit worried. I'm a bit worried about the last dog he had, because look at the clothing that he's wearing. You know, that fair thing that goes around him. You know, it could have been his last dog, really, couldn't it? Rover.
Get out, Shep.
Yeah.
Anyway, that's Admiral Byrd. Why anybody would want to go and freeze their arse off going down there, I never know. But that's what he was into. That is, you know. So was it Arctic or Antarctic Explorer or something, wasn't he? I don't know much about it.
Yeah.
Operation Paperclip, I think it was. Oh, hang on. Sorry. Okay. Sure, son, I'm doing the.
I jumped later on.
Tonight, make right balls of it. But he also wrote a book, didn't he?
He did.
Here it is. The Missing Diary. Oh, sorry, he didn't write that. I think someone. That's
Missing Diary. See, that's interesting. Now, that was published after he died, by his son. Well, his son found it, and then, apparently there were a few discoveries in there that weren't leaked out before that, about the lands that he discovered, where, well, there's quite a few things actually. They involved crystals as well. Really? Beautiful structures like the beyond the ice walls, like the Garden of Eden, it looked like, and all this. There's so much. I mean, I'm not an expert, and I'm not professing to be, but there's so much to go into, isn't there, Chris? There's too much.
Well, that's right. But I know that Admiral Byrd, he did say, I don't know if I'm jumping ahead of you here, Michelle, that he found a kind of Garden of Eden down when he was flying down there, and he was looked on as a bit of a crank, I think, in the late 40s and early 50s when he was at his height of fame. I don't know when he died, but he was telling me before the show, I think it was last week's show, that there's a big Masonic connection between him. Can you sort of expand on that a little bit, Michelle?
Yeah, I mean, there's so much to go into, but he was awarded. Now, this was in. Sorry about my notes. Now, there's a lot of talk about being funded by, when you Walkaby Baby.
Mm-hmm.
It's basically any Masons, so Henry Ford as well. But in 1921, he was awarded, and it was the Lodge Number 1. And he was awarded something then. And then 1928, of the 454th Lodge, that was the Cane Lodge. He was awarded something then. And then the Grand Lodge of New York, that was another award he was awarded. And it was a lot of Masonic connections. And I've got a few screenshots here, but I can't put anything up.
You should have told me beforehand.
Oh, yeah, the square and compass. And he also awarded anybody who went.
Hang on. I can help you there.
Well, yeah, there we go. Thank you.
Yeah. And sorry, I don't mean to sort of talk over you, but
no, you explained.
This was a film that was made in, I think it was 1942 or 1943. I'm not quite sure, but it's during the German occupation of France. And if you go, this is on the Eric von Essex site of YouTube. So after the show, you look down, and about a year ago, I posted it on there. And this is the shortened version of the film. I think it's about half an hour or so they show you, but the full film is about an hour. It's well worth showing because it shows you a full Masonic ceremony. Not that full, but it shows you Masonic initiation. And 2 of the people that involved in the film were executed after the war. So, and it was the first time the Illuminati were really mentioned as such. So it is a controversial film then, and it's a controversial film now. How it's allowed on YouTube still, I do not know. but it's still on YouTube. So please, after the show or when you can, if you look down my site on YouTube, it'll be on the recorded side, and about a year ago, I think I posted it on there, give or take. So please, so there it is, and that is the sign, and it's quite interesting. But that is probably one of the best films I've seen of it. I mean, I've actually got the book, The Brotherhood, the first edition, which is as rare as rocket horse poo, and because the first edition, Stephen Knight, I think, was it Stephen Knight who wrote the book? He's no longer alive. Isn't that a mystery? Isn't that strange? It has a list of all politicians of that time, which was the early 80s, that were members of the lodge, and it was most of Margaret Thatcher's cabinet.
Wow.
Yeah. So I mean, I'm not one. I never have been one. I never want to be one.
Yeah.
And but my profession was full of them. It's the second highest profession, I think. In it, architecture. And I was actually giving them a sonic handshake once. I must have scratched my arse one time or something.
Go on. How did they do it?
It was really weird. I thought, it's a bloody funny handshake, isn't it? I mean, my sort of fingers
remember those buzzers that you had, and you put it in your hand and you shook hands?
I should have done, but it's really weird. But I actually worked down Longacre, and Longacre is one of the is where the Grand Lodge is up there, and they had shops that sold the regalia there, and there was one shop. Was it if you had your hair? There's a barber shop. If you had your hair cut by the chief wizard or something, it cost so much, and it was the son of the bloke. I don't really know. But anyway, there's a fellow where I worked was going to show a group of us around there, but he got the order of the boot, or he left before he did. But it'd be interesting to go around there, because apparently they do allow visitors in.
You've seen all the photos, haven't we, on the internet? The checkered floor. Yeah.
Creepy. Sorry, no. Everyone for their own, whatever floats your boat, I suppose, but it wouldn't float my boat, sort of that. But apparently, exploration. Yeah. Oh, exploration. Are you in the UK, or where are you in the world? It's be interesting. You're very polite. Exploration. It says Admiral Byrd was also part of the establishment, and the fact that his book is out there must make you suspect him as well. He said the earth was hollow. That is weird as well. Misdirection. You got a bloody good point there. You really have. You got a really good point. Yeah, that is a good point. So, don't mean to chime in.
No, it's really interesting. What were we talking about then? You mentioned something. Hollow earth.
Yes.
I mean, it's just so interesting that we don't stay on one subject, because it sort of intermingles into everything, which is interesting. I hope that's okay with everybody else.
It's a chat between friends, isn't it? This is what this shows.
Yeah. I mean, I've got no major points here to mention. It's just a few little bits really that, he could have been depicted as another Navy hero, a US Navy, he founded these lands, and he's discovered that there's unlimited supplies of, minerals and things like that to keep us going for a few hundred years or whatever. But, again, it's not quite as it seems. It's certainly not to our benefit, is it? It seems to be a mission for the elite's gain. So
it's all fantasy. Really, that's really what it is. It's a sort of fantasy. But by the way, before I go any further, I've worked with Freemasons. I sort of wouldn't say friends, but colleagues. Very nice. Some of them very, not all weird. They're very nice people. I mean, it was Freemasons that gave me a lot of advice at work.
Right. Yeah.
And I'm thankful for this sort of advice. So I'm not branding everybody with the same.
No.
What we're talking about is the higher echelons of Freemasonry.
It's the involvement.
Degrees, the Winston Churchill level, the Tony Blair levels, I believe. I'm not 100% sure of the Freemason. I should think he is. But it's the, shall we say, behind the closed doors, because the local Freemasons, they do a lot for charity and they do a lot to help people. So I'm not, as I say, I've worked side by side with them. So there's nothing there, but
Mm.
it's the higher level.
Mm.
That's the creepy level.
Yeah, a bit more
Talking.
sinister.
That's right.
Yeah.
But isn't it strange that Admiral Byrd? I mean, was it Operation Paperclip where they went down there?
It's high jump.
High jump. I'm terribly sorry. Paperclip was when they got the Germans across with the rocket engineers, wasn't it? I think it was.
Yeah.
Yes, it was high jump, and they're supposed to have gone down there because there was Nazis flying saucers. So
That's another thing as well, isn't it? Yeah.
well,
I mean,
saucers. That is actually a trick. That Skoda actually built a flying saucer. That is true.
yeah.
There's no that they got the planes, but the thing is that the Americans, I don't know whether, I think the Soviets built them as well. They could have been that successful and carry on with them, but that is actually true. The Skoda works actually built flying saucers. That's true.
Yeah.
You know,
that is. I mean, there's so much. There was a flight, wasn't there? So he made. Yeah, that's right. So he was made the member of the #1 Washington Federal Lodge, and that was in 1921. So this is before his expeditions. And his first one was in 1929, which was funded by Ford, Rockabye Baby, that sort of thing. But there was one before that, and that was, you see, he was born Richard Evelyn Baird, another Evelyn. And his father, his name was the same, Richard Evelyn Baird, and he was an attorney, and his mother was Eleanor Bolling Flood, and he went to Virginia Military Institute, so he had this military background from early on, really, and maybe his dad sort of, led him in that direction, and then he went to the US Naval Academy. He served on several battleships. Then he married a lady called Marie. He had one son and 3 daughters. And then he suffered an injury to his foot because he did gymnastics in the Naval Academy. And he tried his best, but he just couldn't. So he was forced into retirement in 1916. So this is still early.
Mm-hmm.
And then with World War I coming into force, it forced him into active duty. And then that was obviously in 1918. So he helped the US Navy planned the first successful transatlantic flight as well in 1919.
What was that? Alcock and Brown, wasn't it?
Can't remember.
Yeah, I think it was first transatlantic. Right. I think it was Alcock and Brown. I thought they were English, weren't they? No. Anyway, because I know they landed in a swamp in a bog in Ireland, didn't they?
Oh, I don't know.
Yeah, I think because they came across in a Vickers Vinny.
Oh.
Kite thing, yeah.
Right.
Flew across. Why? I just don't know. Should have gone by ship. It's a lot easier. Anyway, sorry.
No, then he was a spokesperson for the Navy Liaison Congress, and they brought about legislation that created the Navy's I can't read me writing.
Never mind. Most of the time.
Aeronautics. So it's all sort of like
really?
connected, And then he did the polar expedition. That was the first US Navy and the science organizations back in. And that was in 1925, as I say before.
Yeah.
I think he went in 1925, found some things out, and then came back. And then the people who've got the money and who are good investors high up must have thought, ka-ching, pound signs. Let's send him out and let's see how much, we might have... gold or coal or all these valuable minerals we can get our hands on. And if there's loads of land out there, we just won't tell anybody. Shh. One of them. Seriously?
Could be. Because two things I've noticed is that the establishment do like court jesters as a misdirection. For example, they use David Icke as a court jester. I think he's a nice enough bloke, but they're using him. So people say, "Oh, are you one of these tin-foil David Icke supporters?"
Yeah.
Lizards and things. And I think that maybe Admiral Byrd, I don't know. Let's go along with what John Hamer was saying about a flat Earth. Well, there's supposed to be this great big ice wall all around the Earth. I'm open-minded all the way round. I mean, I'm not saying that I'm a flat Earth or a round Earth. I'll be neutral, shall we say? Okay, let's be neutral.
Have you seen them now? Have you seen the ice wall? I mean, it could be any ice wall anywhere, but it's massive.
Like a bloody ice wall outside my house today. Fucking freezing it was,
Well, it's massive. It's huge. It's massive. And apparently there's volcanoes. Apparently, it's quite a large area of volcanic, volcano structures in the Antarctic.
Well, when you look at the map of a flat Earth, I mean, John, I don't want to speak for John, and
it'd be interesting. Yeah,
he said they don't know. Well, he doesn't know what's behind there. I don't know what's behind there because I've never been there. I mean, the nearest I've been to the North or South Pole was, I think I went to the border country of Scotland once. That's about the nearest I've been, really, at North. So I haven't been that far north. Now, the thing is that Admiral Byrd said that he flew, and then suddenly the clouds opened, and he was in this wonderland, like a tropical wonderland, which was nice and warm. And then he went into the inside of the Earth. And there's the hollow Earth theory that there's people living inside the Earth.
And what does he mean? Do you think he actually flew down and there was like a hole inside? Like he flew back down into the Earth inside? Do you think? Or
I don't know, but I do know that there's a lot that's been said. That, I mean, some people said that. I mean, when you think about it, the days he did it, I mean, the aircraft weren't necessarily heated. It's the most uncomfortable journey ever, especially in the Arctic. I mean, I know what it's like on a push bike, but it's near freezing. It's pretty cold. But the thing is that some people say he hallucinated. Some people say that it was due to lack of oxygen that makes your brain go a bit doolally. I don't know. I mean, I haven't read any of his books. I don't know that much about him. But there was a huge naval operation. I think, was it 1947? Was it Operation High Jump?
It was High Jump, that one, yeah.
Where they went down there.
Yeah.
And there was something in Nexus magazine, 5-6 years ago, because I'm an avid reader of Nexus magazine, plug. And I used to know Marcus Allen, who's still on the circuit, talking about the fake moon landings. If he's watching, hello, Marcus. There was some diaries found. Somebody found some diaries of their grandfather, who went down to, is it the Antarctic, isn't it? Where he went, not the Arctic. I think it's the
Antarctic,
one.
Yeah,
it's the Antarctic. And they were fighting Germans who had a base down there, and they found these weird creatures and things like that. I read the story, and I thought it was, quite honestly, I didn't believe it. I thought it was a bit too far-fetched myself, a bit like sewage from China, far-fetched. But who knows? I mean, unless there were several other separate people who saw it,
You don't know. I mean, you don't know where J.R. Tolkien might have got his ideas from. Doesn't that quote Inner Earth, or there's Gollum? There could be some kind of creatures deep down in Inner Earth that we don't know about. There's so much really that we just don't know.
What was that? Those Vikings that went. There was a complete encampment that went completely missing, and they might have found there was an old tradition they built, or not tradition, myth, or what do they call it? What's those stories there from years ago? Folklore, legend.
Yeah.
There was a place where you could go to the Inner Earth, and American Indians. A lot of tribes believe that you can actually go in and see the insect people and lizard people and all things like that, and go into this Inner Earth. And there have been massive disappearances of people. So, we don't really know. I mean, you either go with John's theory of the flat Earth, which is both sides, flat Earth and round Earth, have got very good arguments. That's why I keep neutral on this. I'm either way, I'm swaying either way. But they're both put up a very, very, very good,
do you think? See, See, now that I've woken up, I know that sounds such a patronising comment, really, doesn't it, to others? But it's because you've got the state of awareness now that you didn't have before. You're aware to this, you're aware to that. It's just having this switched on light that suddenly woke us up. I can't explain it, and I don't know what it is really.
I know.
But, it's definitely, I mean, all the theories that are backed as well. You've got Sir Isaac Newton, you've got even Einstein. I mean, they're all
plagiarist. Einstein was a plagiarist.
And theories are, at the end of the day, just as what they say. They're just theories. It's not really the truth. And I think all of these, the globe has been forced down. This is what you must believe, because, we can't have you wandering off on your little boats trying to discover the outer space, which to me isn't outer space. It's outer space. It's all flat, it's outer lands. And
why is it the Antarctic is off limits to everyone? You're not allowed there. And why is it the maps were changed in 1959? Because before 1959, maps in these encyclopedias made it look as if we had a flat Earth. And then a treaty was signed, and I think, please, if I'm wrong, I'm guessing, I think it must have been the late 50s this treaty was signed, but I could be wrong on that, admittedly. They changed all the encyclopedias and all the maps. Why? And why is it off limits? You can't go there.
Well, so in 1958, the encyclopedia, it clearly states about, and it's now removed, and it clearly states that, and it's relating to Admiral Byrd, I think, about the firmament, and even Admiral Byrd, he developed the Order of the Penguin, didn't he? And that was for people that went below, is it 66 degrees? I've got it all written down. South of, I'm sure it's 66. Anything further than, anything further of south of 66 degrees, they joined the Masonic, can we say all that, Order of the Penguin. And that was made by Admiral Byrd, and you became a Royal Penguin, which was the Order of the Emperor Penguin, and that was after Operation High Jump. And you've got all the hidden hand symbols, and you've got, what is it when you put the hand in the pocket, like one hand.
The Napoleon one, isn't there? Where they put where they hide the hand, isn't there? That's
it? Yeah.
Stalin did that. Napoleon did it, and I've seen Big Ears do it. I've
seen Big Ears do that a lot.
Yeah, Big Ears does it a lot. Yeah. That's supposed to mean something, because Stalin was a Freemason, high level one. Everyone that allegedly went to the moon in a tin can is a Freemason.
So it's a big club, but not part of it.
Well, that's exactly true what George Carlin said. It is a big club, and we're not part of it. And I'm not sure. I'd like to know the WEF, the Economic Forum. I bet majority of them are 33-degree Masons. I don't know, but I'm guessing there. But but should we go up to chat and have a quick look?
I know there must be lots of comments. It's really interesting.
Yeah, we got about points here. And before we go to chat, should we do my top tip? Why don't do a top tip? All right. Now you're probably wondering, what's he going to do with these carrier bags? Right. Now, apparently, do you suffer from cold feet in the winter? Well, I do. And if, like me, if it's a nice blue sky day and you think, I like a bit of exercise, you want to go out on your push bike. I live on top of a hill. So people think, when you're cycling a bike, you must get nice and warm. No, because when you're going downhill, you just sit there going, yee. And remember, when you're on a bike, it's only the bottom half which is actually moving. The top half is doing that, isn't it, really, when you come to think about it? So you're bleeding cold. And also, if you're standing around a lot, it can be very, very cold. And you can get these like little heater things. You know, you can get them in supermarkets now, where you pull a strip, and they're excellent. They really are. You know, you stick them on your socks, and they keep your feet warm. But do you really want to go to all that effort if you're a tight-fisted git like me? And you can buy the ones that last about half an hour, which warm up, but you can't put them in your socks, so they're too big. But if you get, reason why your feet get cold is because your feet perspire or sweat, and that dampness goes into your socks. And when your socks get damp, it lets the cold air in. So that's why your feet get cold.
Cold as well. I always feel cold more, don't you?
That's right. When it's damp, it's cold more. So what you do is you get a carrier bag, and you take your socks off first of all, and you put this over your bare foot. Imagine this, my hand is your bare foot, okay? And you wrap it round, and then you put I always wear 2 pairs of socks in the winter. One a bamboo lightweight summer sock, and on the outside I insist on, I don't buy thermal socks, I buy merino wool socks, because wool is better at keeping the dampness back, and it licks the sort of, and the same with bamboo. I don't like thermal socks very much. They're all right, but they're very, very thick, and they don't last 5 minutes, basically. That's the thing. Now, what you do, you put your socks on over the plastic bag. Okay. Now, what happens is your feet perspire, but the perspiration doesn't go into the sock. So the sock is doing what it should be doing. It's insulating your feet. So your feet become really toasty. Okay. So remember, apparently the Canadian Army do this. They have special things made for your feet. So remember, there's your carrier bag. Then you put your socks on over the top of that. And if anything happens where you have to be sort of whisked away by ambulance or something, they say, poor sod, he was found with 2 carrier bags on his feet. You know, joking aside, it does keep your feet really toasty because your socks are dry. Make sure your socks are clean on dry. But there's a little warning. See, I went out, and it was a couple of years ago, and it was bloody freezing. And I think I went for a ride on my bike. My feet, because you think your feet are there, and if you're not pedaling much because you're going downhill, blimey, it's cold, you know. So I got home and I thought, oh, lovely toasty feet. And word of warning: directly you get home, take them off, because it's bad for your feet. Because remember, your feet can't breathe because they've got carrier bags over them. Okay. And also, your feet are full of sweat. So if you're meeting someone, it's like, hello, how are you? You're all sort of sweaty because your perspiration can't really go anywhere. Yeah. Now, what I did, I got in and I thought, oh, nice and warm there, you know, take my socks off. No, I kept my socks. I took my boots off, that was it. Kept my socks, kept this carrier bags on because it was quite nice. And I thought, no, I won't wash my feet yet. I'll have a cup of tea. So I had a cup of tea and I thought, oh, I think I did my tea before I washed my feet, because I was the only one there, and I'm the only one to smell my smelly feet. Well, because I left it, I started to get a rash on my feet because of bacteria there. So directly get in, take them off, and also put a little bit of cider vinegar in the water that you wash your feet in, because that'll kill any bacteria. Because this is a breeding ground for bacteria. Yeah. So clean feet before you put the bags on. Clean feet. Don't, if you need a cup of tea, doesn't matter how you want you to. No, don't. Directly get in, wash your feet, and throw the carrier bag away, obviously, or give it to someone you don't like. You know? But seriously, it works. It works a treat, but it's not very healthy because your feet can't breathe because they're in carrier bags. But when you come back, your feet are nice and toasty, even they're soaking wet with sweat and a bit whiffy as well. But directly you get home, wash your feet immediately. Don't wait. I waited about half an hour whilst I was having a cup of tea. You know.
So, I remember years ago, I think my mum couldn't afford shoes or something, or he had a hole in. We were going to a firework display, and we put plastic bags on our each foot, you know, with elastic band
Oh,
or tied it.
really?
Yeah.
I've actually done that in muddy areas.
Yeah.
You know, I've actually I found if I got nice shoes on, it's a bit muddy. I always have carrier bags in my car, and I put them on over my shoes, walk around. You get a few funny looks, but you know,
You just throw them away in the bin, don't you? That's a good idea.
just do them afterwards. Yeah, but this idea is really funny when you put the bags on first, and you put your socks over the bags. It's a really weird, peculiar thing. Your feet will be
All
very
seams at the bottom.
yeah, but it does work. It really does. But that's the only thing. Always put some cider vinegar when you come home. It doesn't matter whether you got a rash or you're itchy, because you don't leave it on too long. That's the thing. I mean, suppose you've got a job where you're standing around in the cold all day. This is absolutely ideal. You know. Again, I don't do that so much. I use these heat things. You know, that you put on the soles of your feet. But the other thing is, I've actually on my hands, I don't wear gloves anymore because gloves are a waste of time. I wear fingerless mittens. Then I'll put fingerless gloves. You know, the fingerless gloves, and then I put mittens over the top. And your fingers are together and they keep warm. And I've got these German Army mittens, brilliant, and they keep my hands warm. You know, because I do some cold feet and cold hands. Anyway, back into chat. What we've got here, we've got a heck of a lot. I'm sorry if I missed a load of it. I've started a few here. Now let's have a look here. Sean Hamer says Freemasons are weak. Look at their lifetime Grand Master, the Duke of Kent. He can hardly speak. Well, it's relying. I don't want to be rude to people, and I know I've worked with very nice ones, but to me, it's just having to rely. I don't like relying on other people to get through my life. You know, if I'm going to achieve something, I do it myself. I don't want to rely on others. And it seems to be, it's all to get favours from people, when in fact, it isn't really favours, you know. Because if, I don't know, you want a builder, and a lot of builders are in the lodge, oh yes, get old Wally or Bert to do it, and he does a crap job. You can't really say you've done a crap job because you don't want to fall out with your fellow men. But, you know, if you're not a member of anything like that, I work by gut feeling, you know. So, now, it says here, they gathered 3,000, blimey, Grandmasters in, isn't that strange, Grandmasters, and then you have Grandmasters in chess, don't you? In 2017 in the Royal Albert Hall. I think that's when the Queen died. No, she died last year, didn't she? And Charles' reign of, yes, I know what you mean, yeah. Died, and Charles' reign of terror began. Yeah. Yeah, I think she's been on ice since then, wasn't she? You know. Yeah, I think you're right there, mate. I think she did probably die in 2017. And then expiration, as said, 25th of December is nothing but the winter solstice and a Mithraic holiday. Rome adopted a lot from it. 3 of the highest levels of the who serve the simple. Yes, I think we know what. Yeah, yes. Now it says, didn't Admiral Byrd meet another civilization? That's correct, in Antarctica.
Yes.
Mammoth.
Sea mammoths. Yeah. It's all woolly mammoth or mammoths.
Yes.
Yeah.
Which, that's quite interesting. Apparently, they controlled his aircraft, so I heard, because they outside him and he landed it, and you know he met them. I mean, why didn't he stay there? You know, it might be nice. Might have gone all right. You know, why did he come back? I mean, it's interesting.
Yeah, didn't it interfere with the controls and the magnetism? He said it's like something took control, and he went up in a Fokker, was it?
A Fokker? No, that's the name of the aircraft, isn't it? It's a duck.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, he went up one.
Yeah.
He said it took control of it took control of all the panels, and he couldn't control the plane. And he just said it was a beautiful, like, crystal land. It said it was just beautiful. You know, we just don't know, do we? Because crystals grow in the air, don't they? It's not.
Well, that's right. We just do not know. That's the fact of the matter. And why is it off limits? That's the thing. This is the question. And we got here, Antarctica certainly does have a tropical place deep inside some mountains. That's interesting as well. I'm learning a lot here. Sorry about your questions, because remember, I'm on my own to it. Well,
No, it's good because there's loads of comments. Isn't there? I think the comments are brilliant. They give you information.
they are. I think flat Earth is wrong and part psyops. You've got a very good point there, but they are right that most people haven't thought the globe through. That's very interesting. And I mean, I do believe, and I know there are UFOs. Don't get me wrong, but I do believe that, as I said last week, German radar could produce these balls of what's it now? It's kind of can't think of the name now, but plasma balls. Orbs.
Okay.
Now that was 80 odd years ago. Think what they can do now. And I've seen these released films of so-called UFOs, or they call them something else now, don't they? And they look like plasma balls to me, floating along, and they go straight off like that. Well, they would do, wouldn't they? Because I mean, the bomber pilots during World War II, they were heading towards Berlin, and they took pictures of it, and they see these like orbs of plasma. They didn't know it was plasma, following the aircraft for miles. And I think, bloody hell, what's this? And Churchill was interested. They called them Foo Fighters. They wondered what they were, and they found out that the Germans were a little bit more advanced with their radar. They used very high-powered radar because they were the ones that invented it. We're led to believe that the British invented it. No, we didn't. The Germans invented it. And they would be following and tracking these bomber formations across the sky. And of course, it's so high powered it was causing these plasma balls. Yeah. So you think what they can do now? I mean, I've seen one of the crop circles, and it looks like a plasma ball floating around. Well,
I don't know if anybody else has seen them, because I'd love to know. And it's not an aeroplane, because you can see the lights flickering every so often, can't you? But has anybody ever seen the ones where the lights, it's like a shooting star, but it's not a shooting star or hasn't got a trail. But as you say, it's like an orb of light. But it doesn't just go in a straight line, but it goes quite fast, actually. And I think I've seen what I thought was the International Space Station, I don't know. But it goes, and then it'll suddenly, they just go in a different direction. And I'm not happy plane.
It's really weird, isn't it? That is odd. That is peculiar. Because when you think about it, I do believe that these elite are playing an illusionist act with us, and we're not being told the truth. I think that UFOs, yes, there are UFOs, but it's all being hyped up out of all proportion. And the reason why people had an explosion of seeing them is because of this plasma light that's created by radar. That's the reason why after World War II. And that could partly explain. I'm only saying part explain. But I do believe that there are unidentified flying objects, and I do believe that there's a possibility that they're not from outer space, from the planet Zog. They're probably from our future, looking back at us, or a different time frame to us. Some advanced civilization that can go between different time.
There must be. I mean, we're certainly living on 2 time zones at the moment, aren't we?
Oh yeah.
But on the paintings that depict spaceships in the past and things like that, I mean, there must be. I mean, there's the Stargate, isn't there? There's time travel. Was Trump heavily involved in that, or Trump's ancestors?
I don't know. I never heard of that. I didn't know Trump was. I mean, I know that. Look at H.G. Wells. Almost everything he wrote. I mean, he predicted the use of a tank. I think 10 years before actually the tank was invented, and he wrote the book. Was it The Time Machine? And was it The Martian Invasion and things like that? But let's go back into chat, shall we? He said, Bird was a free, yes, Mason, just type the name and the free Mason next to it, and you'll see it. His diary is a misdirection. I think you're right there. There is every possibility he is. There's a lot of misdirection. And another one is, this is Dan MC. Hello, Dan. Check a high altitude weather balloon footage that does not use a fisheye lens. It's a local sun, and it makes a hot spot on the clouds.
Yeah.
Flat Fingers channel on YouTube. Thanks, mate. we're tuning into that. So that's Flat Fingers channel on YouTube.
Yeah.
Right, make a note of that one. Right, we'll do that. We'll have a look at that. Of course, after the show, please. Thank you. You see all this.
Also, you can't get a sun reflection on a cave either. And when you see a sunset on the sea, you can see the reflection of the sun in the sea. You can't get that from a cave.
Yes, that's quite. I think that's quite interesting. I mean, what gets on my nerves is these smug bastards like BBC smug gits. They've got this little smugness. They've got a bow tie. Oh, that Professor Brian Cox. You know, he thinks I can't stand that man.
Another puppet just designed just to spit out what they're paying to spit out. It's true.
Well, I'm not. He reminds me of the type of kid at school that was a goody that would get you into trouble. I saw him do that. Yeah, you know, slummy little bastard. You know, but this is Emmon has said. I can see that it can be alienating and intuitive, to think that there's no center to the universe and motion is relative. But it's one of the alienating and unintuitive things that's true. Unlike Darwinism. Well, I don't believe in Darwinism because Darwin admitted he was wrong. And he married his first cousin because most of his kids had genetic deformities.
So did Einstein. Einstein married his cousin.
Bloody hell. Well, the more I hear about Einstein, the more I think he's a nasty piece of work. You know, he's worshipped. And E equals MC squared was devised in London in 1870 something. Hey! Why does it do that? I just don't know.
I don't know.
I don't know. But
you need to put more money in your lucky meter.
That's it, yes. Or the monkey's got off the wheel, you know. I don't believe anything. I just take everything that's outside the mainstream as a package. This is Emmon. That's as irrational as accepting everything the Brian Coxes of the world say. Oh, he's one of these people who's got an answer for everything, an answer to nothing. That man, he really irritates me. There's something about that bloke, you know. Now, we got an interesting one from Exploration. Bird was a Freeman. Just type. Oh, sorry, I've just written that one out. No, yes. Buzz Aldrin went to Antarctica some years back. What did he freeze his assets on a boat to get there? Left the lunar module at home. That's Hatchy. Yeah, well, Buzz Aldrin, you know, I mean, But you're saying about Admiral Byrd with penguins. Do you know what penguins and the Inland Revenue have got in common? They can both stick their bills up their arse. Isn't that interesting? See? That's interesting. Can't it?
Can't reach, surely. Can't reach the feet.
No, I never asked a penguin when it can stick its head up its up its arse. I've seen them at the zoo though. Have you seen all queued up waiting for their fish? I like
cute, don't they?
It's lovely, yeah. They're sort of they look very placid, don't they? Sort of
yeah.
You know. Yeah. Do you remember that one of my favourite programmes was Euro Trash?
Oh gosh.
Belgium bloke that you thought he was a penguin. He used to go around where he lived in Belgium dressed as a penguin. That is a bleeding fruit. Yeah. Absolutely bonkers he was. And Euro Trash, I think that used to be my seat with doing that.
I thought you were intelligent.
Yes, Euro Trash. Right.
At least you watch it yourself.
Right. I was very poor back in the mid-70s, Ancient Ruby, and got chilblains. So I put my feet in carrier bags inside my boots and kept them warm in the snow, especially. It works. Yes, it does work. But the secret is putting your socks on the outside. Don't put your socks on first because it won't work at all. You've got to put the carrier bags next to your skin and then you put your socks on. It'll work because you've got to keep your socks dry. That's the secret, you see. That's it. And now we've got here, what's this? Fair enough. I do take it all a bit too seriously sometimes. That's Emmon.
We all
Yes.
do, don't we? It's
What's that thing?
times.
There's a little. Was it? I'm a little fairy. My name is Nav. Fair enough. Right. Sorry. Right. We got here. Best to put cotton socks on, then carrier bags, then boots. No. Because cotton is the worst. I would disagree with that, Ancient Ruby. Politely and respectfully, you put the carrier bag on bare feet because you've got to keep your socks dry. If you put your socks on first, they're going to sweat and they're going to let all the coldness through. So you've got to do it the other way around. But if it works for you, it might work that way. So, but I've actually found bamboo socks are better than cotton socks. They, it says Ancient Ruby. I have heat pads now. So do I. Yeah, I use heat pads. But
or maybe if you go through like some muddy puddles, you put the bags over your socks so your socks don't get wet.
Yes.
If your shoes let in.
Yes,
Maybe.
I can understand that.
Yeah.
Yes. Cold feet, cold hands, warm heart. Isn't that nice? That's lovely. That is. Yes. Now, I like this. What's this? Well, some of their energy they use is actual crystals. That's right. We've got crystals in watches, haven't we? You know, educated pawns. They like us knowing where we understand, and we all nod. Yeah, laugh my arse off. Yeah. Well, this is the thing. This is why I don't understand. It's very nice that people are getting together and marching in London, and people will stand up and tell people what they want to hear. But what we're going to do to get rid of destroy our enemy? What we're going to do? Nobody's really got any sort of. And I think there's only.
Sorry.
Well, I think civil disobedience.
Individually, and they're waiting for it to happen. They can't believe we've all been so quiet. They're waiting for it.
Well, look at what happened.
Fortune in these hotels, wasn't they, week?
Well, look what happened in. You got the yellow vests in France. They were doing something, and they didn't have an overall leader because when they went to speak to their leader, there wasn't one. But what happened to the yellow vests in this country? About half a dozen people turned out, and it rained. And I better go home now. I might get wet. You know, just. But different. I think going slightly against what Professor Moss said the other week. I think that in France, and again, this is going against, I'm not being rude, I'm just being polite here, it's my theory. Farming folk are more individualistic and they're more practical as well. And since we've lost our farming people a lot, there's more sort of theatrical people, whereas in France, it's still very agricultural and rural. And I think that's why they're sticking together with the yellow vest. But you don't hear anything about the yellow vest now, do you? I mean, whether they're still going or not. But I think people we're too comfortable at the moment. People, once the supermarket shelves are empty, then they'll do something, but not until. Once they feel a bit hungry, they'll do something then, but not until, because they're too comfortable. Or when, say, you go to the bank and you can't get any money because it's closed, that's, again, when people will do something, that's it. Now, Susie Exploration says Pythagoras was influenced by the Persian culture of Mithraism. Catholic Christianity was a result of Persian influence on Rome. You're very educated, Exploration. Roman Mithras was prevalent before it. Free was known to follow Mithraism. Thank you very much for that. I did not know that. I really didn't know that. But it's a very interesting subject. It really is. Now, do we want a little bit of what we're going to do next week, and then we go back into Admiral Byrd?
Why not?
Okay. Yeah. Now, I'm plugging Fockham Hall, the Telegram one tonight, because I'm going more over to Telegram, because what I like about it, as I explained with Facebook, or Arsebook as I call it, with Facebook, you say something like, I don't like mushrooms or something, and half the bloody world know about it. That's a slight exaggeration, but you know what I mean. It's like a Pandora's box. It's everywhere. And it's like shit. It's just sort of flying around all over the place, and it attracts flies. Well, what I like about Telegram is I've actually put information on there every day, and also if YouTube ban me or anything like that, information will not only go on my website, but it'll go on Telegram as well. So I'll still be able to contact you and communicate with everybody. So please subscribe. It's free of charge on Telegram, you know, and there's some interesting things. There's I think it's Croatian MEP, which I've got on there. It's translated what he said in the European Parliament. Absolutely unbelievable what he said. And he's talking about the WEF. So it's worth going on to the Telegram group. It was also put on the Fockham Hall group on Facebook. No, sorry, it wasn't. No, because it wouldn't be allowed on there. And also, you'll get on my Telegram group some links from these people, which I'm not allowed to mention on YouTube, because if you mention them, you get knocked off. These. Okay. If you try putting that in on Google, it won't get so easy. You won't find them that easy. Okay. And so you just tap that in, and they're in America. They're very, very good. And there's one of them's, I think, from Sweden, and the other one is American. And they've been going for years, and I've been following them for years.
Right.
So, and the other thing is, I'm avoiding Google like the plague. Admittedly, I still use it, but try Yandex, which is much better. So go on to Yandex. That's another top tip.
What about that DuckDuckGo? Is that any good?
Sorry?
Is DuckDuckGo any good?
No, it's part of the establishment now. Never was. It's part of the stuff. Yandex is Russian, so it's a little bit different.
Okay.
And it's in English. It's not in Russian. I mean, I can't understand Russian. But if you just tap in Yandex, you'll find much more on there. And I find that most of the time, if you try and look for these people on Google, you'll find a long time. I can't obviously say the name because I'll be banned if I do. But if you try and put that in, but if you got it on, go on to Yandex, you can get it. So there's not a problem. But DuckDuckGo, no. I think they're probably a listing post like the rest of them. Yeah. And the other one, what is it? And I also use Brave. That is also a good browser, Brave. That's independent. And the reason I'm going to go more over to Gab is independent as well, because did you know that WhatsApp is the same company that's Facebook? It's Meta. And I don't trust them. I mean, I don't have any communication much on WhatsApp now, and I prefer Telegram. You know, it's far better, because you know that if you've got a following of say a couple of hundred people, that couple of hundred people will see it. It's not going to go out to halfway around Wilson and Uncle John Cobley Lawn. You're not going to get a situation where, you know, something shows its ugly head again a couple of months after it was first done. You know,
I don't know about you, Chris, but I don't know about, you know, I certainly they seem to have grouped on Facebook people with the group of people that they tend to just like and comment on, and so you clumped up with that group of people, and so your posts don't reach others. So it's like it's a waste of time, because you're just preaching to people that know all about it anyway, and they just the same sort of people that like your posts and things. And I've heard that. We'll have to get some way of copying. I mean, I don't know about you. I've got lots and lots of photographs on Facebook, all memories and priceless, you know, things that you can never get back. So I hope, you know, I'll have to find out a way of transferring all photographs and videos, because if you those, then all your things have gone.
Well, that's it. But and the other thing, the thing is, Telegram. I do believe that the bloke who discovered it was seen at one of the WF meetings, so they're all in on it.
Yeah.
No, Gab is different, and this is why, because they've got Gab TV as well, and I think Gab is the way to go. I really do. I didn't like it first of all, but I do like it now. But what happened to me, you know, with that Facebook thing, that really it angered me. I blew my top. I really lost my temper, because I thought, incorrectly, I thought somebody was as anybody else would have done. I mean, in my situation, I'm not trying to make excuses for myself, but it really looked as if somebody was trolling me. No, they weren't. It was something that was done in November time. So November, December, January. It's taken about, so it's done a sort of circuit. It's a really weird thing.
Yeah.
But I don't like that, which Telegram, you don't get that. Because, see, unless somebody cuts and pastes it and puts it somewhere else, but then it's not going to go very far. Whereas on, if you put something on Facebook, your friends of a friend of a friend of a friend of a friend of a friend.
Yeah.
And today, my phone has been dinging because I can't turn off the dinger Facebook. I've turned it off for everything else. So bleeding things been dinging like a fire alarm. And I've got umpteen people want to be my friend. I'm very suspicious of it. One after another. Ding, 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 ding. They come in groups.
Yeah.
And they're all over the world. How come at the same time?
I had that at one time. I mean, I'll talk to it another time, but you can go onto your settings where that you can censor who friend requests you. So you could have anybody friend request you, or you could have friends of friends request you, that sort of thing. So you can limit who the audience really, because I was having about, quite a lot a day. It was like ding, ding, ding. It's like, what? Where's all this from? Yeah.
It's driving me up the wall. There's people who can't even speak English. They're out of Mongolia or somewhere. And what's getting me though is that there's also lots of young ladies. Obviously, God knows what they're up to. And there's lots.
You see the profiles. Yeah, it's just a lot of them are bots as well.
Yes, and it's but there are some genuine ones there that want to be my friend, but I will do that. I'll try and limit it, and I'm going to try and turn off the alarm thing, the ding dings, because it's driving me up the bleeding wall. Ding, 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 ding. It's
old fire engine.
That's right. Now back to Admiral Byrd. Now let's sum up. It seems you were telling me that his lodges financed his expeditions.
Well, yeah, the members of the, they funded it in 1929. And he also dropped 2 Masonic flags, one at the North Pole and one at the South Pole. Now, why would he do that? And they opened the first lodge, which is called the 777 Lodge. That was in the Antarctic. And after a few years later, it had actually sunken. It was dug into the ice, the lodge, so it's hidden in the ice. It is on the internet if you look for it, and it sunk about 25-30 feet, and you had to go and do it again.
So we can actually go into this checkerboard floored lodge in the Antarctic or Arctic or something.
I don't know what it had in it, but yeah.
Only place to go, isn't it? That frees your assets, wouldn't it?
I think a lot of these. I think it's a big retreat for a lot of the rich to have a boat hole in. Yeah, I do believe that. And also, there's a lot of when Admiral Byrd was out there, he did see the swastika sign on one of the ships. He did see a ship, and I think a lot of that activity it went into there after the Second World War, and it's never ended the Second World War, really, has it?
Well, actually, I don't think that. My personal view is a war started in. Well, they say 1914, but actually, the First World War started 20 years before because the newspapers started hyping people up 20 years prior to that. Because anything that went wrong in this country, UK, it was due to German spies, and it was due to, and lots of very innocent German people got, were actually treated terribly. So officially, the First World War started on the 24th of July 1914, but I don't think that war's ever ended. Because when you look at it, it's a war that's been going on and it's mutated. And this goes on to the second subject we're going to talk about tonight, which is something that is absolutely fascinating because my father was heavily into numerology, And we're going to talk to Shannon, who is apparently a real expert on numerology, next week. So this is a little taster on numerology. Okay. Now, this is what I found. This was sent on. I'm not sure how I got this now. I don't know if someone sent it to me on Telegram or whether I came across it on Facebook. It doesn't really matter. I got
I
this.
posted it on Facebook on Fockham Hall.
Yeah, well, I posted it on Facebook, yeah. But anyway, I got it somehow. Now, in numerology, the way my father did it, you took off the century. You did not include the century. Okay. So this would actually, I made some notes here. And he was, the thing that I've been trying to find out for many years is that, well, first of all, let's look at this. It says here, World War One, 28th of the 7th, of July, 1914. All those numbers add up to 68. Now, what you do is you also add the two last numbers up because you've got to get to a single digit. So it's 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. That adds up to 5. That's 5. Okay. Then you come down again, date of the Second World War, 1st of September 1939, 1939 equals 68. Invasion of a certain place we won't mention, 24th of 2nd, 2022, you add that up and it comes up to 68, which is very, very strange. Now, remember I was saying, we'll keep this up here for a while. Remember I was saying that there was a mathematical error with our calendar where they had 300 years added when it shouldn't have been. And that's why they can't account for the Dark Ages. But I thought the Dark Ages was called that because there's so many nights around. Dun, 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 dun. Anyway, now what I did is I did something a little bit different. And let's say that that's correct. Now, I'll just take this back off again. Okay, I'll just leave it there so you can have a look at that. So it's 68, 68, 68 comes up to. Now, everything to do with war or Second World War was 3, 6, and 9. Okay. And something my father could never work out was that D-Day was in 1944, which is a 2, 4, 8 thing. Because numbers go into different classes. You've got 3, 6, and 9, 2, 4, 8. I think it was 1, 5, 7. Okay. And you're either one of those three number types.
Right.
Now, the thing that he went to his grave still puzzled by it. He knew that D-Day was going to be on the 6th of June because you know that D-Day was going to be on the 5th of June. That was when it was planned for. And they delayed it 24 hours because of the weather conditions. And when he was on the ship going across, they announced on the loudspeakers that they didn't call it D-Day, they called it Second Front, will be delayed 24 hours. And because my uncle said to my dad, not bad, you was only one day out. He said, no, not one day out. It's going to be tomorrow. And he just said it, and it was announced over the loudspeakers. Oh. So, yeah, that was the thing. Now, the very strange thing is that 2, 4, 8 seems to be a kind of negative set of numbers. And the other strange thing is the victory in Europe was the 8th of May, 1945. But Victory VJ Day, in the official end of the Second World War, was the 2nd of the 9th, 1945. Isn't it strange? It started on the 1st of September, 39, and it ended on the 2nd of September, 45. Yeah. So I just show this up here again. Mm-hmm. I took 300 years off of what, so this year is supposed to be 1723. Yeah. Not 2023. Yeah. So that would mean that the First World War started in 1614. Okay, so it'd be the 28th of July, 1614, and that comes up to 65. Okay. Now, same with the Second World War, and it's the same with the invasion of you know where. It comes up to 65. Mm-hmm. Now, with 65, that add the 5 and the 6 together, what does it come out to? 11. 9/11. And it seems that 11 seems to be cropping up everywhere. For example, when Chamberlain said, if they don't get any response from Germany, not exactly those words, by 11 o'clock, why 11 o'clock? Why wasn't it 12 o'clock? Because if you handed something in to the local council for a planning submission, it's always by 12 o'clock on a certain date. You get shot at dawn or you get shot at 12 o'clock. Why 11 o'clock? What is this 11 right the way through? And I've noticed these 11s cropping up. And I was actually doing these calculations today and I was thinking, that's weird. That is very, very weird.
Is it the pillars as well in the Masonic lodge? The two pillars, like this, you know, the sun and the moon is Sol and Mom. Sol, sun, and then moon, Solomon. Maybe. I don't know, but you know, there's always the two pillars, isn't there?
Well, that's right.
Checkerboard.
Well, if you look at, I can mention this name. He's not the footballer, but Dennis Wise. Okay, he did the documentary about something. Now, I'm not sure whether it's still back on. It's back on BitChute yet because he was booted off a BitChute as well. But if you search around the internet, he might be on Quest or something like that. He did a thing about the Masonic victory, World War II, and you talk about the Pentagon. Because the very strange thing about the Pentagon is that it was actually, they finished construction in 1941. Now, up to 1941, everything was going in the Axis favour. Then after 1941, it went into the Allies' favour. And we were talking about a couple of weeks ago, Aleister Crowley. Now, apparently, he was the most wicked man known. He was really into witchcraft in a big way, and he was an advisor, apparently, to Churchill. So it was all to do with the occult, a lot to do with the occult. And when, as I say, the Pentagon was made, was built, they had that situation, and I was listening to what's his name now? Oh, I can't think of his name. He's a Canadian chap, and he often speaks to what's her name? This is off the top of my head, so I can't remember the name now. She went to prison, this woman. She's half German. Well, she's German, but she was born in Canada, so she's bilingual. Monica Schaefer.
Okay.
Monica Schaefer, her mother was a schoolgirl during World War II. And her mother told her that in 1941, Mr. H said there's something demonic happening because we've never known a winter as cold as this. And the troops were absolutely freezing. It was one of the worst winters ever, 1941. And that's when everything went against the Axis troops. And there was a lot of evidence that Dennis Wise goes into, which I'm doing this all from memory off the top of my head, which he said that there were certain things happening in America and Britain in a demonic way, and the Pentagon was something to do with it, that was causing these conditions and these problems for the troops in 1941. They actually changed the weather, not, shall we say, from what they do now, but using demonic things.
Oh, right, okay.
So, well worth looking up, Dennis Wise, okay, not the footballer. And I don't know if he's back on BitChute or not. I can't put a link to him or anything like that, but you know, that is worth looking into. Yeah. So, and this, sorry.
No. I pulled something up before. I think, but I'll have to show you that. But has anybody ever seen the grave of Richard E. Baird?
No.
So what's that Masonic star?
Well.
Richard E. Baird. Oh, Junior. Yeah, Junior, because his father was Richard E. Baird as well, Evelyn. And that's his Medal of Honor that he received, US Navy, and that was his date he was born. But yeah, I mean, I've tried to get a close-up of and I can't really recall. It looks like one figure's black and one figure's white, and I don't know what that depicts. But if anybody would care to, elongate, that would be interesting. But yeah,
It's weird. Isn't it? That is very weird.
and that's another one. I think you've got that one, but
What's that?
but that again, that depicts something.
Oh yes, he was there. He is. Yes.
So it's the
Well, Roosevelt was a Mason as well. You know that. He
yeah.
was top level, 33 degree. They say that Churchill was, and he was also Churchill was a druid as well. You remember there's a picture of him with a old druid outfit on. And this is the thing. When I was at school, there's another lie. If the teacher said, I was taught that Stonehenge was built by the Druids, it wasn't. It was built about a couple of thousand years before the Druids. The Druids used it, but it's built before them. And I don't believe the Egyptian pyramids were built by the Egyptians. I think they were built by a civilization before then, and the Egyptians used it because there's no evidence at all that there's a body. There's a box thing, there's a big stone or granite box. They call it sarcophagus, but there's no evidence there was ever a body in there. And they say, oh, tomb robbers. Well, who's going to break in there and nick a stiff? I mean, I don't think so.
No. I believe they were healing centres. They were healing.
Well, that's one theory.
Yeah.
But there's another one that they were actually to produce electricity.
Yeah. They are resonant.
Yeah.
Something, yeah.
And the Aztecs used the pyramids there. They didn't build them. They used them, but they didn't build them.
There's pyramids in the Antarctica as well.
There's also one in Bosnia, isn't there?
They're everywhere.
They are everywhere. And apparently, according to Richard D. Hall, there was one in Wales. And they built a council estate over the top of it.
Isn't the one in Balmoral as well? In the garden? I'm sure there is. We could go on here all night, couldn't we, about things? But, there's a lot of hidden things that we need to investigate, or maybe we don't.
Well, there's lots of things that they change.
It's so interesting. Definitely.
Well,
and there are, I sent you that video, didn't I, Chris? There's actually monuments and statues in Antarctica, and there is one of a penguin as well. But I mean, how did they? When building sites close down for the winter because it's too cold and it's icy and the concrete won't go off or the mortar or the cement. I mean, how did they build stone buildings or things like that? Where I think these were built before it got really cold.
Well, they reckon that's due to a pole shift. They reckon there was a pole shift, and the Arctic, it was tropical at one time. So, and there was this massive change because I think it's Hancock, isn't it? The chap who looking into this, he reckons that there was advanced civilizations, not quite as advanced as us, but he reckons they got up to about like the Edwardian times where they could navigate the world and things like that. They're quite advanced with mathematics. That were completely wiped out about 10,400 to 11,000 years ago. I think I agree with that. I think there was advanced years ago, because when you look at the evidence for it, it's overwhelming. But the big problem is like everything else. These hive mind academics that belong to these associations and that they daren't go against what the association says, so they'll go along with what all the textbooks say. When in fact it's totally wrong because they've found archaeological remains of things that are completely out of sequence with events. I mean, they've actually found a strange thing. They found a cut glass modern sort of mirror that must have been grounded by a machine that was in some rock sediment, was thousands of years old. How did it get there?
And you've seen some of these beautiful structures. I mean, they said that they'd have to use a laser, and it would have to be built to scale to chip away these meticulous, intricate designs on stone buildings, masonry buildings. meters up into the air. I mean, there weren't any tools then that could do that.
Well, correct. I mean,
Yeah.
in Greece, my brother-in-law was very establishment, but I have to admit he did sort of fall on this one. He said there was a beautiful, perfectly built marble table, absolutely perfect. It was, from ancient Greece, and they said it was done by antlers and bits. No, he said that was laser cut. You could tell it was laser cut. It's too perfect. How did they do it? They must have known. And but I mean, back to the pyramids. I've heard that one. I've seen a video on it where they're healing centers. Those pyramids.
Yeah.
And you can sharpen razor blades. If you get the book Supernature, it shows you how to make a pyramid. And if you've got a blunt razor blade, you put it underneath the pyramid and it'll sharpen it. And things like that.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah, there's a book called Supernature. I think you still get it. It doesn't go out of print, but you get it on eBay anyway. Printed in the 70s, and if you make a pyramid out of cardboard of a certain dimensions, and then you've got some blunt razor blades, you put it underneath there, leave it a certain amount of time, and it can come out and it'll be nice and sharp. So,
how does that work?
I don't. Well, it's something to do with resonance, and sound like that. I don't know if it works. Yeah, so that's quite something. And anyway, shall we have a quick whiz back into chat, shall we? Right, it says here, exploration. Hello, exploration. There is a video in which Buzz Aldrin buzzingly admitted in front of an 8-year-old girl about 1969. It's 6 out of there. Oh yeah, I see that one. Yeah. Why can't we go back to the moon? Because we didn't go in the first place. Oh blimey! Don't start me off about that one. God, because hang on, Ancient Ruby. All right, Ancient Ruby. It does work, Chris. I put socks first, then carrier bags, then boots, and as warm and dry. Okay. Sorry, Ancient Ruby. It made me cry now. All right, does work, yeah. Well, just try it and see, yeah. But I think both methods probably work. But because really you're not letting the moisture. I suppose you've got moisture in your feet and you're keeping it there, and that is a barrier to stop it getting out through your shoe into the cold air. That's probably it. That's the reason why it works. But now, we've got ancient. My feet never sweated. Mine do. Bit whiffy as well. But I'll tell you something. It's good by keeping people away. You don't get many neighbours knocking on your door when you've got whiffy feet. But no, when you're cycling, like this. Oh, sorry, hang on. No, when you're cycling, going like this, because with your funny hat on. Anyway, yeah. Top cycling tip for dry. Oh, this is Robert Dorr. Hello, Robert. Top cycling tip for dry feet while cycling: wrapped stockinged feet in cling film, then pop on the shoe.
All these tips we get, they're amazing, aren't they?
It's a good one, isn't it? I tell you what, someone suggested on one of these cycling channels on YouTube, because my feet were bloody freezing. And I got fed up with because as you know, I'm very tight-fisted. And, I take large steps to save shoe leather and that type of thing, And and someone said, put wrap tin foil round your socks.
Yeah.
Oh, that's a good idea. So I did. But the trouble is, you see, your feet are moving inside your shoes.
Yeah.
So when I got my socks out, there's all bits of tin foil and all. It's like confetti. It was never do it again.
You didn't have sparks flying off your feet.
So, that's right. Yeah. Now, Ancient Ruby says maybe your socks were not real cotton. No, they were bamboo. For I found terry towel socks the best for that. Terry towel socks. I never heard of that. That's interesting. Terry towel.
Like thick sports socks.
Yes.
Ones maybe.
I'll give both. I'll be fair. I'll give both ideas a try. How's that? And also, I bring my smelly. If you've got smell-o-vision, you see, I bring my smelly feet along as well. Bleeding hell, Right. It says here, another tip. Oh, this is a good one, Robert. Another tip for keeping warm in general: use foam earplugs. an alarming amount of heat escapes through the head and
The head,
ears.
yeah. Often the head of the ears, wow. I suppose so.
It's
It's an
yeah.
orifice, yeah. Orifice for it to come out.
Or yes. And what is it? Ancient rubies, stand up and say no more. Revolution is coming.
Is right.
Yes.
Boom.
And also support my non-existent imaginary charity, the Tree Branch of Hope. Well, you look at a tree branch and think, that'd be a nice tree branch to hang the bastards from, won't it? See? Now, Paul Green says, worked on radar, just cannot see any way it could generate plasma balls in that way. Yes, well, the UK radar is relatively low powered compared with the German one, which was unbelievably high powered. It really was high powered. If you go on to Professor Simon, he actually explains it, how it produced plasma balls. Sounds rude, doesn't it? But ours was very low powered and the German one was very high powered. They had massive power going into it. So that's what, but you know, I'm not an expert. I can be proved wrong. So please prove me wrong, as someone did last week. I don't mind that, because that's how you find out things, you know. All right. Now, NASA lying doesn't automatically mean the Earth is flat. NASA didn't exist in the 3rd century. Well, it might have done, you never know. Yeah, it says here, this is Robert. Michelle is right. Controlled disobedience, hitting at the base of their power. Taxation, banking, utilities are a great way forward. Well, this is what I'm hoping. I'm going to talk about finance to Roger Hayes. He's coming on to say in April. He's not in this country at the moment, but when he's back in this country, he's going to do an interview with me. And he's a brilliant speaker. I mean, you'll be spellbound with him. He really knows how to speak. And he's given me a few tips as well on how to make a speech. He's very, very good. He advised me on I had to speak, you know, say something once, and he said, "Oh, well, he advised me what to do." But he said, "Yeah, he really is excellent." And I say he'll be talking about debt-free currency. And that is something worth looking into. And I'll give him a few football before he comes on. You know, the Fulham Hall currency.
Just say no. Like, just say no.
That's right.
I don't agree.
Well, that's it.
With a lot of these things that are being pushed forward, and I don't agree with it. So I'm entitled to a life and say no. I don't agree with that. No, I'm not living my life like that.
But you think about it, in this country, if it had been managed right, we could, by now, Britain and Ireland, as 2 separate countries, we could work hand in glove with Ireland and vice versa, because we've got the best agriculture, we have the most advanced agriculture in the world. We could make the Swiss look poor. I mean, we could all be, you know, hoity-toity. We could all be living in very nice detached houses, bungalows, with, you know, that's the way we could be living. But no.
Cooperative schemes where, you know, we can't get to the top of the pyramid level, put it that way. So we start off from the ground, as in, you know, that's where our power is, on the ground level, because that's, you know, these people that, you know, are in agriculture, you know, that's the land, they work on the land, you know, some kind of community level based where we help each other out and do, like, you know, I'll do this service for you. I'll come and cut your grass every Saturday morning if you do my ironing. Or
that's it.
So there's no cash exchange. It's all, you know, helping each community level at that.
Before the Industrial Revolution, it was probably a little bit like that. But I'll tell you something I can't understand. Now you think about it, we've got solar power, we've got all these different things. But I want to grow my own food. But the thing is, it's very labour intensive. Now, I'm not lazy, don't get me wrong. But in the summertime, all I was doing is running up and down the bloody garden, watering the plants. I don't mind doing it. It's again, why can't, I mean, I'm now looking at tower gardening, where you go upwards to about 4 foot, 3 foot, something like that, and you grow the plants sideways, like a tower. And you put, down the centre of this tower, you put a kitchen waste down there, and as it rots down, it waters the plants, so you don't have to keep watering them. Now, surely, why can't someone go into mass production where you could turn your garden into like I wouldn't say a factory, but a food production area where you don't have to put much labour into it? You know what I mean?
Well, recycling, isn't it? So recycling your rainwater from the gutters, using it to irrigate your crops or your flowers or your beds, or
But these tower gardens, you could put them up all over the place in the garden, and then have an automatic watering system which is solar powered. So you just pick the fruits of your little bit of labour, because you think you put plants in, you've got to take the weeds out, you've got to do this. All right, organic gardening, yes, you can get away with it a bit, but you've still got this battle all the time with slugs and snails. And where I live, it really isn't, because it's clay soil, and cabbages, brassicas, you can forget them. I mean, the slugs and snails, it's dinner time for them. I mean, there's a population explosion of them. And this is why I'm going to go upwards, and I'm going to have a battery at the bottom and some copper wire so the buggers can't climb up. So hopefully I might be able to grow some brassicas, because, you know, they're the most nutritious and things like that. You can grow lettuces easily, but what I'm growing at the moment, somebody said that if you get celery, you can cut the base off, stick it in water.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, I've seen that. That's amazing. And even lemon seeds, I put lemon seeds or any seeds, apple seeds, apple pips. How many of us eat an apple? You throw your core in the bin. Save your seeds. We may need these seeds in a few years' time. So save your seeds. You know, you're throwing them away anyway. Throw them in a pot with a bit of soil on. You never know. It might sprout. That might be your apple tree in the future.
Well, I'm actually thinking of doing that. And where it's the other side of my wall that's on my garden, that belongs to council, I think. And there's quite a bit of grass area there. And I'm actually thinking of growing some apple. So there's not enough on my garden. I'm just growing some apple trees there.
Yeah, the schemes, aren't there, that the councils are doing too. Yeah.
You can do that. But whilst we're talking about food, we did an experiment last week. So a little update on the experiment. We had, and we're going to do one, aren't we? We had a jar that we hate of rice with water in it, with these delightful, lovely people on there, which I'm supposed to hate, bastards. And so let's go out to them all together now. Bastards, hate them. Now this has got, I don't know if you can see that, it's got one or two little bits of green. Hang on, let's get my head out of the way. How can I do that? Turn that round. Don't know if you can see it. It doesn't. Smells a bit ricey, but that's okay. A little bit, just one speck. So you could hardly see it under a microscope.
Starting already.
This, the one that I ignored, is really green. Look, it's all going up the side, and that really is going green. This is the one you can always see it. Can you see the green there? It's all green and tingy and horrible. That's the one I've ignored.
Right.
That's about the only attention I've given it to it. So that's got bacteria in there already, which is worse than the one that I hated. And now we go to my darling lovely, this lovely one that I'm supposed to love. And it's got seems to be right. Yeah, so that's about equivalent. So it hasn't really got, I thought I could see a bit of green there, but I can't actually. No, so that smells a bit ricey, and no, there's no green. So the one I ignored is the worst at the moment. So so let's. By the way, I'm seeing the analyst next week about this. You know, these pictures of ladies on bikes and things like that. Yeah. So I should be all right then.
Yeah.
And I think, and she's Australian apparently. That one, but. Here we go. So we've got that one that I'm supposed to love. And the hate one is not as bad as the one I've ignored. The one I've ignored is the worst.
Yeah.
Loads of, yeah. So isn't that strange? Bastard. I'll just give it another quick one.
Cover your ears. I've got a cat on my ear and she can hear this.
Right. Oh dear. And come on, everybody hate this one. Here it goes. There we go. That's it. Isn't it strange? The one I've ignored is the most green so far. So we'll catch up with it next Monday. And I'll probably be with a peg on my nose by then.
Yeah.
Smell. It's sort of, hang on, let's have a whiff of this one. It's beginning to smell a little bit. It smells a bit like that. You know when alcohol's gone off? You know, sort of
rancid, bit rancidy. Is that
rancid? Yeah, because afterwards, what I'm going to do, I'm going to pour the rice into one pot, boil it, and then give it to someone I don't like. No, not really. But no, it's weird, isn't it? It's strange, that.
Well, can I just interrupt? I've made one. I haven't put my water in yet, so I'm a week behind from Chris. But I've done it before, and I know the results. It's really good, and it does work, 100%.
So
that's the one I love. Cake.
That looks lovely.
Oh, I like the cake. So I love the cake. So I like that one. So that's my love. And the ignore obviously is just the plain rice, and I'll put the equivalent in water. Okay,
right. I'm bored with that one. Don't want to know about that one.
And this is my hate one. I don't know if you can see it with this light on here, but it's just a man with people being used as puppets and not being treated very nicely. Humanity's going down the pan. So I thought, well, do you know what you're doing to humanity? I hate you for that. So there we go.
I hate that one. Yeah. So, right, so we'll have a bit of boo and a hate on that one. So
I love me cake.
So you love your cake. Yes, so we'll see what happens next week. Because these are actually, strangely enough, these are underneath my computer screen. They're right in front of me, and I'm keeping them there deliberately. Okay. But I'm actually wondering whether the love one is having an affair with the hate one. Because it's strange, isn't it? Isn't it strange? The one I've ignored is the worst. That's got the bacteria on it, which is a bit sort of odd, isn't it? You know,
yeah.
It's very strange. I don't know. Weird. But also, the other thing I was going to mention is that I've been looking into it's the things we spray onto it. Tesla. Because Tesla and Edison, who wasn't a very nice man, they were at loggerheads with each other. And in 1918, they both...
You carry on. It won't be 1 minute. Just have to see to the dog. So 1 minute. Okay. We'll be back.
Okay, don't worry. Do you want me to... what happened is Edison and Tesla, what they decided to do is, separately, of course, because they didn't get on with each other, they believed that they could build a machine that could communicate with the dead. And the man that made the breakthrough with it was Tesla, of course. Now, I've seen quite a few YouTube videos of this, and Tesla patented his machine, and now the patent is up. You can actually make one of these things. It's not powered by anything. It's a cat's whisker. And what I mean by cat's whisker, not an actual cat's whisker, but early radios didn't really have power going into them. They were called cat's whiskers radios. But this is a bit more technical than that. And apparently you can get the plans on the internet and you can make one. And it doesn't look too complicated. Now, I'm not very good at electronics, anything like that. But if it is possible, I'm a little bit, I think this looks rather interesting. And there's a couple of people on YouTube. There's one that I won't mention any names, but I think it's a bit like Most Haunted. You know, they've got to make the show or the program. Yeah, just saying, Michelle, about this thing that what we were speaking about before the show with Tesla and Edison, with this machine that they could actually speak to the dead. And there's a couple of YouTube videos which I think are fake. I really do, because they say, "Are you there? Yeah, I am here," and all this sort of crap. Well, no, it's not like that. One on there that is, I think, genuine, because you see the chat and you tune it in, and it's like it's a weird thing with two aerials, but it's very basic. I mean, Tesla did this in 1918, and remember there'd been the Great War, as it was called then. And millions of people have been killed, people lost their loved ones. So there's a lot of interest in communicating with their parted loved ones. And obviously, Edison was going to thinking there's old money in this,
Yeah.
And even though Elvis Presley he wasn't even an itch in his dad's underpants and he hadn't been born, you can just imagine if Elvis Presley was around, he'd be thinking, bloody hell, I can get through to Elvis Presley. Millions. But anyway, what I was going to say is that Edison, he made this thing. You can get the prints and you can make them. Now, I'm a little bit twitchy about it because I wouldn't want to invite anything into my home and you can invite nasty things. I think it's creepy, and I would not do it unless I've got a real expert sitting next to me who knows about these things and knows how to stop anything nasty getting in. So I would not attempt it without doing that, because once bitten, twice shy. And I think everybody's like that. I've been once bitten with the the pineal thing, and also John Hamer. He sat round with his friends when he was a kid, and he did the Ouija board.
Yeah.
Luckily, it was a good spirit that said something about don't deal with it and flung the thing across the room. But there was a chap on YouTube. He was tuning in, and you hear these sort of, and you think, what the bloody hell's that? And you have to sort of slow it down. I know what he does. He does this thing which cleans it up a little bit, so you can actually hear it. And you hear sort of, my name's Fred, and all that sort of thing. And what are you doing here? And it's a bit like that backward talk. I don't know if you've heard of that.
Yeah, on the Beatles records and things, they have it. They had Paul McCartney's Dead. Do you remember on the album?
Yes. Yeah, but also there's a chap that had a Sony Walkman that was the old tape type, and something went wrong with it, and he did it so it went backwards accidentally, and he said that he played things backwards, and he reckons that's how you could hear that politicians are telling the truth, because it was an Australian politician, an Australian chap that did it, where he's having an interview, and he recorded this interview, and the interviewer, I can't remember it verbatim, but it was sort of on the lines of, what are you doing this weekend? And he said, I don't know, go for sailing with my wife or something. And when he played it backwards, it's, I'm going to have some cocaine. But strange. I don't.
I know. Obviously, everything is energy. Everything is frequencies. I mean, when the physical matter resonates slower than spirit matter, because that's a higher frequency. It's a lighter frequency. People that you got the world on his shoulders because it's heavy. Fear.
That's right.
It's all heavy. It's all low density, low vibrations. And so I do believe that maybe the spirits would resonate on a certain frequency. And I get it with the radio. It's like, you can't listen to Radio 1 when you're tuning into Smooth FM, because you have to tune. You can't hear that frequency. So it's all right inviting these, being a medium, inviting these so-called spirits in, but you have to have the ability to see them out as well.
Correct. If you're a bit empathic, they will in contact.
Yeah.
You see, they can affect you very well. They can cause aggression. That's what they generally do: cause aggression, cause nasty things.
Yeah, yeah.
But you see, the thing is that this backward talk, I'm not convinced by it, because he speeds it up and slows it down, and a lot of it is, you imagine getting well, it's imagination. So did you say this? Did he say that?
Yeah.
It's not clear. It's sort of, and you think, what the bloody hell's that? And then there's like, yes, the Lord. And you think,
and do all the dead speak in English? I mean, where do you go with this?
We get through to Chairman Mel. Well, bloody hell, you die, you bloody idiot. What's the matter? Yeah. I'm little bit iffy about the backward talking. Anyway, it's interesting.
I know the Beatles did it deliberately on their album when there was a controversy that Paul.
Yeah.
But I mean, Tesla was a genius. There's not. I don't doubt his abilities whatsoever. But
he said that he apparently it scared him, because when he made this thing, he could actually hear these voices. He reckons from the dead. And that really frightened him. He actually got that in his diaries.
Right. Yeah.
I mean, I reckon he's scared shitless. I've said that, just not in his diaries. I was scared shitless. I didn't say that. No, I put that bit in. But I think that what I've seen of this chap who's made one, and he does seem pretty honest. I'll be straight. There's one that's doing it for the proto, and I mean, I'm sorry, that's bollocks. Sorry, I don't mean to say that word, but it's I'm terribly sorry, but it's bullshit. It's it really is. Sorry, I just mentioned a French word. She didn't realize, and believe anything. And what he said was, this chap, he's sitting, he's asking questions. It's a bit like a chat show, No, it doesn't work like that. I mean, you ask these ghost hunters, 95% of the time, nothing happens. It's just sort of, but no, it's interesting. I've got this kind of devilment in me that I'd love to build one, but I don't really know anybody that would. I don't know. It's meddling in things you don't know, and I think it's a bit like a Ouija board. Could be.
I went on one years ago, and it was somebody that I knew had passed over, but it wasn't somebody that I thought would come through, and it didn't even enter my mind. But they started to spell out the name, and only me and somebody else knew what this person's nickname was, and it started to spell out, and it certainly wasn't me, or it wouldn't have been him, and it said stop, and then it said his nickname, and we just freaked a bit.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
Well, that's what does work, and that is spiritual healing. That does work, and I've had it. This healing, you feel like a buzzing feeling. It's a really weird, especially around your head. You feel this kind of buzzing.
Well, that's where your crown chakras, isn't it? I mean, when I feel connected to something or connected to somebody, or I definitely get it's just like it's like shivers, like get a shiver. But it's like a flow. It's beautiful. I mean, this is our toroidal field. It's like the earth, isn't it? It's like the apple core, isn't it?
Well, I'm going to one of these
flow of energy.
That's right. It is a constant flow. And this thing with the water is proving this, because we're 70-80% water. But I'm hoping to go along to one of these, these where these psychics. I'm actually going along, and I'm rather interested. I'd like to get a psychic on the show. I really would. A good one, not a fake. And that's part of the reason I'm going to go along, because if this person's good, I might ask them on the show. But
I've my cat at the moment, she's got this sore, and I tried to do it myself because I'm just a bit iffy about going to even to a vet at the moment. It's just the way I am. So bathed it with colloidal silver. Anyway, tried to do it. And a friend of mine, she said she is a healer, and I think the way forward, Chris, at the moment, the way our trust issues are evolving, this may be the way forward. Natural healing. Obviously there's there's a treatment for every ailment, and it's provided through some kind of herbs or things like that through the earth. And anyway, she said, just let me try something, and she tried, and you'd think this is. I'll be honest. You'd think, oh, don't be so silly. On animals, and this was remote healing. But she does. I don't know exactly what she does, but obviously she has hair guides that she goes to or whatever. I don't really understand it, Chris, and I don't profess to. But I will do a post about it, and I'm just going to leave it a day or two. But it is actually the transformation is amazing, and it could be a number of things, But I certainly do believe that Jesus was, in the Bible to demonstrate the powers that every single one of us has.
Oh yes, I mean my father was
Don't know it.
Was helped by a remote healer. And this person was hundreds of miles away, and I'm positive he had something. Yeah. He was bright as a button the next day, and it was quite amazing. But I'm fascinated in all this.
It's fascinating. Thing. I mean, she's healed, humans. I'm sure she could be a guest on your show, Chris. She's great.
Oh, I'd love somebody like that on the show. This is the areas I want to go into and explore this. And I mean, Deb, she's very much into this as well. That's another thing we're hoping above hope that the mystery person the week after next will be Deborah Hatchwell.
Yeah.
Not sure if she's hopefully coming on.
Yeah.
So it's going to be Shannon with numerology, Deborah Hatchwell after that, and then John Hamer, and then in April we've got Roger Hayes coming on, and he's quite a star. So that's it. And so that's quite something.
Yeah, I talked to you about that.
Yeah. I do want somebody who's psychic. There was one bloke on the radio years ago. Whether it's a put-up job or not, I don't know. But people would phone in and you'd say, no, I'm just making this up at the moment. Oh yes, you've got a sideboard there with such and such a thing on it, and your curtains are blue, and you've got a sash cord window, and he could see inside the room. It's really weird. And
you see, years ago we used to communicate by telepathy.
I saw a talk with Michael Binty, the fourth goon, years ago, and he said that he went into the Amazon jungle with lots of tribes, and he said they communicate telepathically. They don't think there's anything weird with it. Just take it as, look at whales. They can communicate with each other over 1,000 miles. When you think about it, that's a long, long, long way. I'm just thinking, my glass of water's here, and the glass of rice water is there. I'd come back on steak, couldn't I? But no, this is what I'm thinking of future shows.
Yeah, definitely. It's the way forward, isn't it?
These experiments, I'm fascinated with these experiments and that. We can't have. I've actually seen a seance. I've witnessed a seance, and it's terrifying. Really, I saw it when I was a kid, and it really was something that I've never really forgotten. I've seen it twice, and there was where I went to school. They'd moved a lot of kids from the East End out to where I used to live, and these East Enders, they were true East Enders. Their ancestors go back to Romanism and things like that. Because the Cockneys are sort of like a separate tribe from a true Cockney. There's true Cockneys and they're not. And these were, and they used to go. Their parents used to go hop picking and things like that when they were but their parents and grandparents did. And they did a séance, and I've never seen anything like it. And the person they stood around this person and they said these certain things, and this kid got set bolt upright. This was a bully, and screamed his head off. And they absolutely screamed his head off. And he said it was terrible. And the teacher wanted to see it, who was into this sort of thing, and they performed it with the teacher. And we all sat around. The teacher said, "Right, that's enough. We better not do anything anymore." And it gave me nightmares. It was really quite terrifying. Yeah. I mean, I was only about 11, 12 at the time, but I witnessed it. And I'm a bit. You got to be careful, because if you're empathic, things can come into you very quickly. Pick up easier than they go for. And I was saying this to Deb's empathic. You can pick these nasty things very, very easily. This is why you got to be very, very careful. This is why I'm tempted to build this thing, but only if there's somebody really experienced sitting next shoulder to shoulder with me. I'm not going to switch the bloody thing on unless they're sitting next to me, because I think you've got to have somebody that knows what they're doing. And you kind of a twit like myself. But I do believe that there are entities out there, positive, and I think that these souls are part of them. I really do.
Oh, they are soulless creatures.
I mean, just look at that.
How could you can't have a conscience? You couldn't put your head on the pillow and have an easy sleep knowing what you've done.
Well, I'm very much against capital punishment, always have been. And John Hamer sort of is the same. And he convinced me. He said, well, what do you do with these people? Because if you put them in jail, they'll be out in a couple of years' time and start where they finished off, which is quite right. But the trouble is, you would have to get a psychopath to do the nasty deed. So it'd be a psychopath against a psychopath, because we are actually programmed not to kill. And loads of people say, yeah, I'll pull the lever, I'll do it. Yeah, it's all picked up until it comes to the time.
It's on your conscience forever.
And then you think, and they see the person looking at you. You think, My personal view is to find an island, have all the amenities on there, and put them on that island, so they can just live their lives out away from us. Because
let them eat bugs.
Yeah, they can eat their bugs. We can drop them all the genetically modified crap. We can give them all that. And all they have to have the old before they go. For the common good, of course.
Get a few planes up, full of chemicals, just to
that's it.
Just to put some trails over their heads and in their lungs, and
I mean, there's an island, Devon Island, where they're doing their fake Mars films from. They are.
Oh yes,
put them on there. I mean, I'm not saying dump them there. Have the amenities there. Have housing, have roads and things like that. Let them live their life out. But the thing is, I think that Dr. Here, my personal view is he came very close to admitting that they are a different species to us. So, we don't go down to the depths that they do, but we just do something humane, which is just put them somewhere away from us. And that's something of the most humane things, because psychopaths, they're in every culture, they're in every religion, every race, they're bastards. And that's basically it, Anyway, I think we come to the end of the show. Do you think so?
I do, yes. Yeah.
So let's we'll have a quick whiz through, and we got loads in chat. Oh dear, I'm ever so sorry, I can't read them out. Oh dear. But was it terry toweling socks are best? That's what we got here. We are. So I didn't realise. I use terry towels to wash me, do me wiping up with. That's it. And what was it? Hatchy, me dog poo bags don't fit me feet, too small. Especially if you leave the dog pooing. Mind you, that keeps you warm, doesn't it? The funny thing is, if you get sweaty feet, with those carrier bags, you go over to them. Hello, how are you? That's not bad. Anyway, thank you very much for watching, and tune in next week for a special where we've got talking about numerology.
Very good.
The week after, we hope to get Deborah Hatswell in, and that's Bigfoot. And she's hopefully will speak about loads of sightings up the Lee Valley, which is in southeast. So there's a load there apparently of Bigfoot. And also the week after we got John Hamer coming on. So excellent. So I'm going to try and find, where is it now? The exit, which I can never find because she knows where it is. She's put it here somewhere. Just one moment.
Thank you for all your comments as well, guys. I love the comments. I wish we had more time to go through them because they're so informative. They are really knowledgeable, aren't they?
Well, they are.
The comments, they're good. I like the interaction. It's good.
Yeah. Well, thank you all for your comments. They're excellent. And remember, please put the old thumbs up, subscribe as well. Doesn't cost you anything. Please check me out on Telegram. Please subscribe to that. That's because I'm slowly with Facebook. What the experience that I've, I'm very, very concerned about Facebook. It's very dangerous. I don't like it. I really don't like it at all. So again, I'm going to still keep putting stuff in Fockham Hall group on there. But remember, if you do post anything on Facebook, it can go to Timbuktu. It can go anywhere. And so you remember that. And what goes around comes around. And just leaves me to say, whatever happens, have a bloody good laugh. And see you next week, same time.
Don't let them get you down.
Bye.